Good evening. This is Renuka Mathur, the editor of Forbes Africa in Johannesburg, and I'm joined here today by South Africa's most decorated Olympian. He's a multiple Olympic medalist, a 17-time Commonwealth Games medalist, an 8-time world champion, named 2-time FINA Male Swimmer of the Year, and world record holder in the 100 meters butterfly. He was also one of Forbes Africa's 30 under 30 list makers in 2019. I'm in conversation with the 28-year-old Olympian, Shad Clos, in Durban. He's South Africa's swimming sensation. Welcome, Shad, to this interview. So nice to see you home and safe, and you're home in Durban, as I understand.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for a lovely introduction. Great to be on your show. I think, yeah, it's been great to spend some time with the family during this time, but yeah, obviously waiting for this lockdown to end to get back in the pool.
Absolutely. So 5 weeks, more than 5 weeks in lockdown. You also had a surgery recently. How are you recovering? What was it about?
So yeah, I was at a surgery about just under 2 weeks ago, and basically it was a varicocele going down from my stomach. So I had a keyhole surgery over here. Basically, long story short, it was actually to help me to have children one day. I went to the urologist 2 years ago, and he basically been putting this operation off. So the timing of the lockdown, on the 1st of May, the doc called me in and said, listen, we have a slot for you tomorrow in the morning if you want to come through. And I also got a ganglion cyst cut out of my leg. It was quite a big ball of muscle in my foot, which has been there for also about 6 months. So very pleased to have both have taken out. So I'm good now, thanks.
So you're enjoying time with the family. How did you, before the surgery, how were you training during the lockdown? I'm sure you have a gym, you have a pool. How intensive was your training at this time?
Yeah, well, it was quite hard because before the lockdown had happened, I was in Turkey training, and when I came back, I had a couple 6 days before South Africa went into full lockdown. So it was quite difficult to train at the time, knowing that a potential lockdown is going to come because I was in Europe, and also thinking about the Olympics because at that time we didn't know the Olympics was postponed. So we're training really hard as we could, through Virgin Actives in South Africa. And then during these 5 weeks on lockdown, I haven't been able to train because obviously no pools available, but I was very lucky enough to be staying at a family friend's house in the Midlands in Durban. And I had a really big piece of land, like 36 acres. So we had like some horses, some dogs.
Wow.
We had a small pool, which I was training in, but also mainly training outdoors. So we're kind of having a routine where we would come up in the morning, do a bit of stretching and, a bit of medicine ball, abs, Swiss balls, just basic, fundamental type training outside basically most of the time. So the training wasn't ideal, obviously. Most of the time we're spending 5 hours, 6 hours in the pool a day. Now it's 30, 45 minutes of swimming a day. So You can understand the difference.
So the 2020 Tokyo Olympics has been postponed to next year. I mean, you're obviously preparing for it, and with all these sporting events being cancelled all over the world, and I'm sure you were on track to attend many other sporting events as well. I mean, where do you think this industry is headed? I mean, everything is uncertain about the pandemic, but particularly for the sports industry and for individual sports stars such as you, what really is the way forward?
Well, I think first things first is let's just hope everything goes back to normal in South Africa. I think globally it's been a bit of a mess, I think with everything being cancelled. I mean, it's not just the Olympics, right? It's the NBA season in America, the English Premier League, the Aussie rules in Australia. There's a lot of different places which has affected the whole world, really. And I think as soon as we can kind of go back to a normal-based training, I think that's when things will start to open up. I think Premier League's talking about opening up next month in June. I'm not sure how close they are in England about that, but as far as swimming, the difficult part with swimming is the fact that as a runner or as an athlete, with respect, you can train, you can run, in the morning, so you can run around. As a swimmer, you need to have that feel of the water. So the big problem with us is we lose the feel quickly. Yeah. It's a very different fitness to being running fit or land-based fit as swimming fit. I'm terrible on the land. You know what I mean? I can't run at all. So when I get back in the pool now, I can be as fit as I can, like upper body wise, push-ups, sit-ups. But when I get back in the pool, I'll be more athletic, sure, but I will have lost the feel, the sensation, you know. So, you know, that's why swimming is a strange sport, you know, where you train many hours. It doesn't make sense, you know, you swim 10 to 15 Ks a day.
Yes.
For 100 meters or 200 meter race. It doesn't make any sense, you know. I swim 50, 60 Ks a week to swim 100 meters, 200 meters, you know, race. Whereas runners, you know, with respect, they run 2 to 6 Ks, you know what I mean? And they run 400 meters, you know. So it's a big difference, you know.
So it typically means that even if the lockdown ends and there's some respite in the pandemic, you'll still need some lead time to get to be race fit. You can't just jump into a pool and, you know, get into a competition directly. You really need that much time to prepare even after the pandemic before you actually get into the competition mode again.
Absolutely. I think it's the same for everyone. Look, even for, you know, again, for the runners, for the boxers, for the cyclists, yes, they have not a better way of training, but they have more accessible training means. So, you know, with respect, everyone's going to need to get match fit, you know. Even I was watching my mate on TV, Kevin Marina, you know, he was talking about, yes, he's training as much as he can, but he's got to get that sharpness, that boxing, you know. So for us, it's the same thing, especially for swimming. You know, we once you lose that feel, it's going to take how long it's going to take, 6 weeks, 7 weeks to get back up to that fitness. But then we've got to get match fit again. You know, we can't just jump into the Olympics.
No, you can't.
In saying that too, I'm prepared for it. You know, as soon as I'm able to go again, you know, after I've recovered, once the stitches are out, I'll be able to you know, train properly and get myself ready, because obviously Olympics it's a short 14 months away, you know. It's even though it's a year away, it's just 14 months goes.
So
I mean, we've been on lockdown now for you know, so it's
yeah. So have you been in touch with the other superstars in the swimming community around the world? What are they saying? What's the buzz you're getting from them in other parts of the world?
Yeah, it's been strange, because I was in Europe in March when everything kind of went down. You know, I was in Italy, I think it was the 28th of March, February, sorry. That's just about the time when everything got kind of properly locked down, you know. So for me, I kind of saw everything unfolding. You know, we were in Italy just for 10 days. We got one of the last planes out. My coach decided to stay an extra couple of days in the Swiss mountains running, and he got stuck for 3 weeks on the French border, you know, the Swiss-French border. It became very real to us because we were close to it. And I think when I came back home, maybe I was a little more prepared for everything, because I'd been in the, you know, the war zone, so to speak. So when everything happened, I tried to prepare myself as best as I could before the lockdown, you know, because obviously once you go into lockdown, there's nothing you can do. You know, our coach was saying, once this lockdown happens, decondition yourself. Instead of taking 3 weeks to decondition, take 4 weeks or 5 weeks. So just eat right, do things properly. You know, it's going to happen to everyone eventually, and just try to stay in shape as possible. You know, you can.
That's a nice word.
You can do the minimum at least.
Decondition yourself. Yeah, that's a nice way to say it. So you began.
Absolutely.
Yes, you began swimming competitively from the age of 10. By the time you were 20, you had beaten your hero, Michael Phelps, by 0.05 seconds at the London 2012 Summer Olympics in the men's 200 meters butterfly. Now you've started really young, and now you're still young, you're only 28, and you've also started an academy, the Clos Academy for young swimmers, to train more Michael Phelps and, you know, Clos swimmers for the future. So what is the status of that right now? I mean, do you do online? I know you can't teach swimming online, but are you still in touch with these students at the academy?
Yeah, that's the difficult part, really. You know, during this pandemic, it's forced a lot of businesses to close. You know, the academy's been only open for just over 2 years, so it was quite sad for me. I had to close doors about 2 weeks ago due to this pandemic, but it's on pause, you know, hopefully waiting for everything to come down. But during this time, I've been lucky enough to start the foundation, the Clos Foundation. We started that about 9 months ago, and we have a lot of special projects coming up, hopefully, if this pandemic allows us to. But at the end of December through to February, we have a lot of projects, special projects in the townships, that we're doing. Actually, one that's already started is we've started making masks.
All right.
And basically, 10 Rand of the mask, so 100% is going to charity, but 10 Rand of it is going to go to the Clos Foundation. So if you want to purchase them, and basically what it's doing is helping the swimmers during this time, because there's a lot of things that, like I've said, a lot of swimmers have lost, even, the family businesses. So in order to go overseas and to race like monostrum circuits, World Cup circuits, which an up-and-coming junior 16, 17-year-old would need to do, that's what the foundation is also going to help, not just the underprivileged communities. We have a lot of, like I say, we have a lot of setting things up at the end of December, but for now, everything's on pause, and hopefully we can come back sooner rather than later.
If there had been no pandemic, what would your year have looked like? Obviously, the Tokyo Summer Olympics, but what else was on course to happen this year?
Well, my year actually was, I'm looking at the year as a season, because with the Olympics being held in July, August, I planned on hopefully winning a gold medal, coming back home and celebrating with the country. I planned on going straight into the World Cups and the ISL, which is the new International Swimming League. So that would have started, I think it was the 17th of September. So I would have only had a month at home. So my vision was to come back with a gold medal, reintroduce myself to the world, go into World Cups and kind of look at it as a season to December, and then the World Short Course Championships in Abu Dhabi. I think I'm not sure exactly, but I think 2 more individual gold medals that will make me the most successful short course swimmer ever, in the short course season. So I had a lot of goals which I wanted to achieve this year. Hopefully the short course will still happen. This thing behind me right here, that's Doha 2014. That's when.
How many medals do you have back there?
That's when I became. Yeah, that's when I became the first ever to win the 50 fly, the 100 fly, and the 200 fly. It was a huge thing for me, the first swimmer ever in history, still to this day. That's in the short course, the 25-meter pool. So I was planning on doing a lot of great things this year. So it's quite sad that everything has been put on hold. But for me, I'm looking at the bigger picture. My swimming career doesn't end after 2020 or 2021. I'm still 28 years old. I have a lot of things I want to achieve inside and outside the pool, but Olympics is definitely the biggest goal that I'll ever have, and hopefully I can make South Africa proud next year.
I'm sure you will. So you spoke about initiatives and ventures outside of the pool. Is entrepreneurship one of those ventures at all in the near future? Would you consider starting a business?
Yeah, maybe, Yeah, absolutely. I think, look, I don't want to close any doors at the moment. I think for me, I'm the kind of person that likes to dive in with everything head on. So for me, I have a lot of projects which I want to achieve after swimming, but right now my big focus is the Olympics and even 2024. Like I say, I'm a very young 28. In some respects, if you talk about other sports like karate and jiu-jitsu, like my brother does jiu-jitsu, I still see myself as a white belt. Because I'm learning so much more things each year. I've only just started clicking with my new coach, James Gibson. We've only been working together for now 10 months. With this pandemic, we've only had 2 or 3 competitions.
All right.
And I really feel like everything in my life has led me towards this moment, because I'm in such a great mental headspace, emotional headspace. My family is the most important thing, and they're safe. And once swimming has firmly shut, I'll definitely focus on the next chapter, which will definitely be some sort of business. And I have a lot of passion projects, like I've said, with my foundation,
right,
which we are continuously doing with amazing people behind me. Discovery just donated 3,000 masks just actually this morning, so to the foundation and to the Santon Police Force and healthcare people around the country. So we're very, very excited, and like I said, I have great brands behind me, and we can continuously build the country and make better decisions.
Yeah.
So
I have just one general question. Who is your all-time sporting hero? Needn't be a swimmer, it can be anybody from any sport.
It's a tough one, Of course, I've looked up to Michael Phelps my whole life. He's definitely in my top 3. But I think Muhammad Ali is probably my ultimate icon. Just for what he stood for. Like he was he was the greatest boxer of all time.
Yeah.
And he was the people's champion,
Yeah.
So for me, I've always seen myself as the people's champion. I'm not as outspoken as he was, but I see myself swimming for the people, swimming for my family, swimming for the country, and he stood up for his religious beliefs, and I really respect that, So he's an icon of mine, a hero of mine, and of course Phelps was the swimming hero, but yeah, he was my big inspiration outside of the pool.
Yeah. So one last question. I mean, being a sportsman is all about building mental and physical endurance. So are there any lessons that you can convey to young people at this time in building endurance to combat and fight COVID-19?
Absolutely. I think, funny enough, this lockdown has really taught a lot of people. I think a lot of friendships have been made, and during this lockdown, people that I haven't spoken to in years have reached out to me. Just the other day on my birthday, 2-3 weeks ago, I had a lot of messages from people which I hadn't even spoken to in years. It was people that I wasn't necessarily friendly with over the last couple of years, and I feel like this lockdown is helping. Can go both ways. And I feel like during this lockdown, my advice would be, to definitely build your mental capacity, as a sportsman. So for me, I like to visualize positive things. When I was a kid, I always visualized success. I visualized gold medals at the Olympic Games. I visualized, putting on the green and gold, walking out to Commonwealth Games, Olympic finals. And I think, you create that law of attraction, and sometimes subconsciously you let that percolate, and I think, the more positive things that you put out is the positive things that you're going to get back. So that's the way I live my life, So during this time, I encourage people to think positively, think about, focus on the positives. Yes, the negatives are going to be there, it's not ideal for anybody, no matter who you are. And yes, some people are definitely less fortunate than others, but, during these tough times, you can make yourself even stronger mentally, I've always said, you judge a man's character for not how he celebrates victory, but for when his back's against the wall, And I think every, man, woman, or child, back is against the wall right now. So if you come out of this in a better frame, a stronger frame, it can only help you and excel you going forward. So that's what I've really been focusing on these last 5 weeks, especially these last 2 weeks since I've had my surgery, since I can't do anything. So I've really been focusing on that and playing a lot of poker with my family, losing a lot of poker.
All right. Okay. So optimism, focus, hope, great lessons from a great sportsman. Thank you so much. That was multiple Olympic medalist Shad Clos with us this evening. Thank you so much, Shad. Stay safe and stay blessed, and continue to make South Africa proud. Thank you, Shad.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for your support, guys.
Thank you so much. Stay blessed. Bye-bye.